What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are having a fun time today. See Doglive, Lucy, and Testament in the chat. Vivette. I'm going to be doing some quick organization of the bounties that are active right now because I have been so awash with things to do that I haven't actually done that. So we're going to add a couple of things here. So we're going to say north-facing elevated catwalk ramps. So that was Jujic. We have Jesse, Round Link, decals on doodads and signage. This is actually technically just me commemorating, so that's fine. The $1,000 sign doodad is like, I'm gonna have a doodad in place with one of the signs that says like, your billboard here, low price of $1,000 or something like that. It's in commemoration of our absolute goober who has epically donated a lot of money. I appreciate that very much. But he refuses to talk to me. He refuses to make contact. He is just a fraud, one of our frauds that refuses to speak. So as a result, I just kind of hang out and accept the money. Whatever, man. I appreciate that. What else do we have? Oh, Lucy, the Sephirius had the Sarathiel. I remember writing that down. Unit bounty, factional unit bounty. So I think what we will do is, even though the most money is from the sign doodad, that's just me doing something on my own. So actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put these in order that I received them. I'm going to double check that I have everything that I've written down anyway. This. Okay. All right, so I think that's all of the paid bounties right now. I will double check that when I go through my records, but I'm not going to do that on stream, not just because they're my records, but also just because it's not very interesting. So that we go into unpaid bounties. So for this, I need to jump into my DMs with 3Crow because he is the one who has contributed to a list of bounties that I have completed here. Okay, so move location, Krig action that has XY offsets. Then we have, let's see, includes briefing Krigs, marked with draft entries marked with draft are not require investigation and should and may not be possible. I think that's all I'm going to say right now. That's fine. And then we have oh yeah, table edit. So this is draft. Table edit. Flingy support. Particularly Flingy ID and speed. And speed. And then we have non-Flingy speed control. Speed rig action. That's easy to do. Let's see. Wireframe rig action. And then we have disabling units for AI players. I think that's pretty much everything here. There was one other thing that was related to the power generator and crashed battlecruiser, crashed Minotaur, but that's something that Recro can get to me later. So these are unpaid bounties. Basically, anybody can take a look at these and say, hey, I want to throw money at them. That's fine. And then I think what we will do at some point, and not right now, is I do actually want to go through the I want to define a bunch of additional unit concepts. And, oh, there is actually one other thing, which is Smarty Cakes. He bountied the Agrazaleth. So that's something. And then, of course, Jack Yelansky. Malkothrakor. So those are paid bounties. And then the unpaid bounties are these. But at some point, I am going to basically say... I'm basically going to go ahead and say that, like, hey, these, if I go to the Astral Omen, the Warlock, like, putting a bounty on that, like, saying that, like, hey, these units are available to be implemented. Like, I think right now, any unit that isn't implemented, has, like, this little hashed, dashed border. That's a unit that's fair game to request, to bounty. Obviously, with the exception of the Malkothrakor and the Agrazaleth have already been spoken for, but if you wanted the Raxalisk, if you wanted the Begrothalisk or something like that, like, you could bounty me to do those, and that would be fine, I think. So, that's what I have so far, anyway. Yeah, pretty much all I got right this moment, but it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. So I think we've organized our bounties. We can go back to those at any point. That'll make it easier for people to keep up to date with what is happening. So let's go ahead and say that we've done that. And now we go to the main course. That didn't take long at all. We go to the main course, which is a SCSI development. Now, you guys might notice there's some new features actually listed on the website. I don't know how often people have been keeping tabs with it, but we have some new entries here, stuff for the Tier 2 that I've been working on. The abutment, I don't actually think is implemented on pre-release right now, but I basically have it implemented on my test build. I've been withholding pushing to pre-release because there have been issues implementing salvage for the Dyad and hijack for the Helion or the Inkblot and the Avatar, technically, which is basically all but implemented. Once the hijack stuff gets in, I'll only need to implement the weapon, which currently we're at the weapon limit, so I haven't been doing that kind of thing. Hey, what's up, Biddy B? How you doing? But I have defined a couple of Tier 2 things. Obviously, I haven't defined any Tier 2 tech centers, but or relays, as they're called, which I think is pretty neat. And so, effectively, you're going to see, like, when you see stuff like this actually has some significance here. You see that there's 3 other entries. They just don't point to anything. That's because the Astrolabe, which is the Tier 2 production for air, is... it doesn't have a correspondence yet for the basic 2 units and then the 4th unit. But we know that the crematorium unit is going to be its 3rd unit, and the 3rd unit requires, the Tier 2 relay on this side, and then the Tier 2 relay on the mechanized branch is what enables the 4th unit, which I think is, like, that's just a rule that we're going to embrace. So, if you look at this, the Xylode is able to create the Petract. The Petract is a basic unit, so we know it's not going to require a relay. Whereas the Thaumalog, a basic unit for the Proscenium, okay, that's going to be a basic unit, but the Avatar is going to require the same thing that actually enables the Crematorium. So that's already an interesting decision. I might swap that out. It might be that the Crematorium becomes the 4th unit, a 3rd unit with something that synergizes with Hijack might be implemented. The Avatar doesn't really care too much about armor rend, and that's what the Crematorium does, so maybe there's an argument there to have a little bit more of some kind of synergy there. But yeah. Or, something else that you could imagine is maybe a unit from the Xylode that is enabled by the same structure that enables the Avatar, the same relay that enables the Avatar. Maybe it is really good at slowing enemies down, or disabling them in some way, or isolating enemies in some capacity. And then you would combine the Avatar in that unit for the purposes of building out a hijacked target, right? Stuff like that. So I think that could be pretty neat, like trying to catch them. Generally speaking, there's a lot about the Tier 1 of a SCSI that is implemented, but a lot of it is still on, a little bit jank. We have the issue of the teleportation of the Rapid Rendezvous or the Rematerialize, depending on which unit you're talking about. Those units have a bit of they have some trouble actually landing on the right target. I haven't really been able to figure out exactly why that goes wrong, but I should be able to invest some more time into it. Maybe on this stream, but in general. Another thing, though, is we want to try to implement the active abilities. Like, that's a big thing for the Escozi, is they do have more active abilities per unit or whatever per tier than a lot of the other units, a lot of the other races, I should say. So, you know, the Petract is pretty neat. It has rapid rendezvous, so it can leap as a vehicle. It also is a garrison. Well, it's a structure that transports ground units. It has a weapon, and when it takes fatal damage, it becomes a garrison. So all of those things are pretty neat. Like, you can leap, and that's pretty neat. So yeah, I don't know. There's like you can sort of rocket jump or whatever with the Petract to some allied target. You can have your move there. I think that's really neat. I think that's really interesting. So, works out quite nicely. All right, so I gotta close that. It's a little teaser there. So I've been working on like adding some graphics and stuff, and processing some icons and whatnot, but I don't think we need to worry about that right this moment. We can probably jump to the unit. You can probably say Prima. Oh, Escozi Thalmalog would be one. Let's jump into our data file real quick. Escozi Thalmalog. And then I guess we'll also add the structures here, so we'll say Escozi Xylode and Escozi Cause or Asteroid. We don't need to bother defining any of them right now. That's not what we're chiefly focused on. Just gonna put defining the actual unit IDs is helpful for a few things. Oh, it looks like we skipped one. What did we do here? Attract is this, yeah, Matorium. Oh, yeah, I skipped 544 somehow. I don't know how I did that. And then Escozi Astrolabe. Okay, so I feel like this is going to be a pretty good opportunity to further the Escozi agenda. There's a few things that need to be done for the dyad for sure. So I think what we probably... I saw you posted, Doglift. I see everything. You don't need to worry. Oh yeah, I actually wrote unit responses for the Helion yesterday. I plan to record those at some point. It's pretty busy earlier, so I did not have an opportunity to do that. But the Mason looks a lot better with that animation, that's for sure. Okay, so right now the dyad has the capacity. It's supposed to have the capacity to do salvage, and it correctly errors out when you target the ground. But then when you do this, it says invalid target. And I have found that through my debugging, the test case in some of the spellcast functions are trying to use tech ID 38, which is not the tech ID that we need it to use. What we needed to use is tech ID 41. That's the salvage tech ID. And I will demonstrate here that when we go to the dyad, we will see that the ability is kitted out for tech ID 41. Look at that. There's no 38 anywhere here. Why is it 3 less, you may ask? I don't know. We'll take another step towards that. We'll go to orders. 184 should be salvage. Current unit is dyad. Great. And then if we go to 41, salvage. Current unit is dyad. Also great. And so what's going on, right? That's like the sort of question there. Obviously, we have the 38 here is selecting the assault larva stuff. So that's basically what we're doing there when we go to here, and then we do assault strains. That's the tech ID we invoke there. So that's pretty weird that that's happening in that context. Like, I don't really know why the dyad would be invoking the wrong... I don't know why the dyad would be invoking the wrong thing when trying to work on the salvage. When we I was trying to establish like a flow control of what actual functions are called when units are in casting abilities. And one of the first things that I found here is obviously this is when you are issuing a button. You're pressing a button as the player to cast a certain ability. Well, there's a corresponding order ID associated with it. So this issue try target order thing basically changes your control scheme to reference the you see this, like, this is the try target order. This is what that function just does, that is on our left here, the SCSI salvage thing. And then obviously when we're using, because I have quick cast on, or whatever you want to call that, quick targeting, there's a very fast way to do it, but it's the same underlying code. So there shouldn't be any issue there. But the only trouble is that once you issue a try-target order, there's something else when you actually proc the selection, the unit selection. And that's the thing that I haven't been able to actually figure out what occurs. So what I think I'll probably do, because I know it gets to this point in the function, is we'll start reverse engineering that. So let's go to programming, boot up IDA, and see where we go from here. So let's take a look. So there's spell order and do targeted order. So if we go to spell order, we know that spell order, this is the function at the very top here. That's what this is. So this never reaches the breakpoint usually, I don't think. We can test it. Maybe it does. Because that would tell us like what the call stack is beforehand. So let's go here. Yeah. So you can see here that there's no breakpoint hitting on that function. But do targeted order does exist. It is in target related. If I go to do targeted order. And we do have a hit here. So I haven't actually reached this far yet. Let's see. So let's just see what happens in here, right? So we have... oops, that's not what I meant to do. I was following the wrong thing. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this. Skip over that. The order ID obstructed. I don't know what minus 72 is. Let's just see if let's order ID this and then do one more. Okay, it's 184. That's the correct order ID. So now we will go ahead and step through some of these things. Let's see. Let's see what tech ID is. That's important. So tech ID is wrong. Tech ID is taking the orders dat tech used. That could be that we've misdefined something in orders dat. So let's take a look if we've done that, because that would explain why we're getting the wrong thing. Ah, okay. So that is a problem. That is our goober. We goobered, not the game. This whole time I was wondering what the fuck was going on. All right, let's go ahead and hit stop here. We might actually have fixed it just with that one change. So do targeted order. I'm glad that we have this function here. Actually, I should probably re-implement the... I'm pretty sure do targeted orders where I implemented a bunch of sound-related stuff, like when you are doing, value unit response order. So I have all of this stuff here that's like, hey, you should play unit response. The play unit response internal should probably include, let's see, normal, target, order ID. Let's see, what is this? I don't actually know what this is. Play unit response internal. What is the context then? Let's find out context. If context is target, we check to see if the... okay. So we check aggressive response. So what we would probably want to do is, if it's URC cast, we would have like a ability or whatever. Then, we would do ability response. Yeah, we could probably add that, because there's things like the Cantavis doing its thing when you click the Psystorm ability, but currently it's done on when you click the button, not when you actually cast the order. And the only reason that works for me and other people like me is because we have quick cast on, quick targeting on, so there is no clicking the button. But that's technically what happens. So if you go to the Cantavis and you were to hit this, I see you have an appetite for destruction line plays, but it doesn't even animate the portrait. Oh, it kind of does, actually. Never mind. I was wrong about that. Or maybe that was just chance. It does seem to animate the portrait, so... Yeah, it does. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I find your lack of control disturbing, and then... but that's only when you click the button, so that would be a nice little quality of life fix now that I realize I can do that. Anyway... So we do actually get the order processed now. We no longer error, but I'm noticing that we don't bother doing anything right now, although it is highlighted. So now we should go to our dyad case, and let's just see what happens. What's going on here, buddy? Because your main order ID should be salvage. So let's see if it is. Okay. All right, it looks like it must be correct. It must be that it's working, because it would just break otherwise, right? So we have a target. If the target is not within min range of the max weapon range of the ground weapon. So that's probably what's happening. Does that mean you have to manually go here and then... Okay. Well, it is working. It's a bit jank because the unit is not an air unit. But, no, yeah, Green Eggs, welcome to the stream. It is indeed still Busto. I saw the report of it, but that was not what we were to do. So I think what we should probably do here is we should do, let's find the... There's definitely like a move towards target thing that we've done in other things, other cases. Let's see if we can find like the rematerialize, for example. I'm pretty sure there's a spell order move towards target, right? This is what we're supposed to do, and then the else is actually doing it. So let's go to dyad. And then let's say... We can do this. We can say else. I don't know where target pause is, but that's okay. Okay, we know that target already exists, so we don't need to worry about this else case, actually. We just do this. And then we say... I think maybe I already defined a unit constant for this, but it doesn't look like it. So we'll just say... Isn't there like a melee range thing or something? Melee weapon distance, yeah. There you go. I guess we'll say that way we actually have the thing. And then we also need to do this. And then I believe we're supposed to break here, right? And then that way we don't do the rest of the code. And then here we do all of the code that's corresponding to it. That move target. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay. Thank you, Ire. I'm glad that you are liking them. Welcome to the stream. Let's do the Twin Torch implementation here, because I guess I never did that. Let's go to, I think I still have a DAT file open, right? Yeah, there we go. Damn, I can't believe that was the reason why it was using the wrong tech the entire time. I really didn't think it would be related to that. It's been a while since I've implemented an ability. And I thought like just copy-pasting the code from the working implementation of Salvage would do it, but obviously there's a little bit more going on there. So the Twin Torch is actually just not implemented. That explains why there's a problem. So let's go to the Pilgrim Mining Saber. We'll do the same thing with the Twin Torch. And we'll say, I think it was a 2x4 on the attack, if I'm not mistaken. 2x4 with 1 AP. And then a cooldown of what it is. And we can maybe have it be more range, just slightly. And that should be enough to resolve the issue there. Okay, let's see what happens now. If this works, with regards to salvage, just fine. We should be able to set our sights on hijack soon. It was actually Green Eggs who inspired me to say, try to implement the hijack in the same update to pre-release where I patch out the object issue, where it was causing Blissful Embrace. And you guys probably will expect that was something stupid. Yeah, it was something stupid. I'll tell you what it was. It was that the object's weapon ID is technically the same weapon ID as the Blissful Embrace weapon ID from the Matrolith, which doesn't mean that the Matrolith does damage now or doesn't work properly. It does. I mean, it has to target enemy units, but we can go ahead and do this. And it still works, as you can see, and it wasn't taking damage until I attacked it with the Intendants. So, all of that to say, it was totally fine for the Matrolith, because that's not how the weapon... It's not attacking with the weapon. It just happens to need a weapon for targeting purposes. I can probably even remove that and then just have it only correspond to the... not the cardinal, the object. But yeah, that was really funny. That was really silly. Alright, let's see. We'll use our infested depot. We are getting some money back, right? I'm thinking, let's see where we go from. So we have the salvage mineral, salvage gas thing. There's a few concerns that I have with that. Gimme. Yeah. Delicious. Suck up that Vespine. Salvaged. Okay, so there's a few things that I definitely want to potentially tweak about this. So if we go to Dyad, let's see how much money we actually get back, because I don't think the money is correct. We're supposed to get 33% of the cost of the unit, and I think we're just getting the entire cost of the unit. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Okay. Oh, and it will freeze the game if you try to do it to a larva, so we should have some blacklists for units that you can do it on. I just don't know which ones those are yet, so that's fine. So what we would do here is we would say... let's... Nah, looks good to me. When it fucking freezes the game. No, you just mean the money. I know what you mean. Get all your money back, bro. I wouldn't actually mind it being more than the money that it currently is. It says 33%. That's what the salvage was supposed to be. Let's see here. So the time is... Okay, I see what's happening here. I think we just do this. That's how much you're supposed to get, is that. Let's see here. No, mechanical doesn't mean anything in Cosmonarchy as like a gameplay term, Ire. That's why like Masons can repair infantry, biological units. They can repair Zerg units, stuff like that. And clerics can, medics, right? Clerics can heal mechanical units, including Protoss mechanical stuff. That was just to make it so that ally interactions would be better, and that you wouldn't have so many, like, useless units in certain contexts. Like how Irradiate didn't work on structures, obviously you could only target units. But Irradiate damages everything for Zerg, but almost nothing for Protoss. Like, what are you going to do, Irradiate High Templar? You could. That is a possibility. But, like, it doesn't damage most of the army. Things like that. Yeah, I just didn't like stuff like that where it was just an arbitrary classification. I recognize that there is some value in them, but I wanted the game to not have those. All right. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be too opposed to to starting it off at 50% and seeing if that encourages people to make the dyad in the first place. So this is where we're going to say unit order to idle and then break if this condition is true, which is if it's a blacklisted unit. I think what we should probably do is... Let's see, I don't know if we ever invoke the mineral cost again, so this does feel in some ways a little bit lame. But we're going to say mineral cost, and then we're going to say U32 mineral cost equals this, U32 Vespene cost equals mineral, Vespene cost, target ID, and I guess it's probably fine to call it that, and we'll say mineral cost equals 0 or Vespene cost equals 0. And then what is time? Is time build time? Time cost, okay. Oh, it's half of the time cost. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we'll do... It's a little messy, but it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And then we'll do... Oops. Where are we here? This is going to be Vespene cost. What we're going to do here is check for any of those costs being 0, because that's where the infinite loop freeze thing happens. And then we're going to cancel out the target, basically. We don't have any order error handling right now, which would print out and say invalid target. We can add that UX a little bit later. Tron Ares last night, it was flashy, but the story was bad. Many such cases. If dyad is 50/0 and increased building speed. Oh, you know what I just realized is mineral cost equaling 0 and Vespene cost equaling 0 probably doesn't cause an issue. We know that it doesn't cause an issue. It's only if the time cost has a problem, right? Because the time cost equaling 0 is like that's probably the main issue. Let's go to larva and see. It's 1 for everything. Why would larva cause an issue then, I wonder? Maybe it's unrelated? Maybe. Okay, so I guess what we'll say is we'll say less than or equal to 1. And that would probably resolve it. And then we just do this, I guess, for now. Whatever. Fine. Shopkeeper Dog in the chat. Godwheat in the chat. They don't mind. Pilgrim's mind. But you don't need more workers in your base, and you can get base up running pretty quickly. Well, I think the dyad in particular is going to have... Like, the reason why salvage makes a lot of sense for the Escosi, besides the thematic implications, obviously. The major reason why is because Terrans can lift their structures off, and everything that can't lift off can be blown up. So they don't have space concerns where, like, they don't have a tier 3 ministry equivalent yet. Maybe they will. That is better than the ministry, and thus you would want to lift your ministry out of the way to build that, right? Or when you hit a certain tier or something like that. But they have the relocation capacity. The SCSI stuff doesn't have that. So that's probably the main reason why we would say that would be a thing to consider. So let's try our dyad thing. Yeah, so it just errors out on that, so that's fine. It does want to go for the egg. Okay. Why does it go for the egg, and what does that even do? Oh. Okay, the egg has a half-second build time cost. Interesting. I don't remember why we did that. I think that was because repair takes into account the build time cost. So we probably shouldn't bother with that, because that's already, like, set. And instead of dealing with the time cost thing, we can probably just go ahead and we'll do this. There you go. And we'll just say unit ID is larva, right? Target D, or unit ID is egg. Target ID. And we'll just add more prohibited cases as we discover them, as they are reported. I think that's fine. I don't think that's too big of a deal. Oh, you can technically... You probably could technically do resources, right? I guess that we would just say unit or target player equals 11. You shouldn't be able to salvage neutral shit. That's an ally interaction that I don't think makes sense. I'm still on the fence about allowing you to salvage allied things. I know it's like a grief case. That's not why I care about it. It's more so, do I want you to be able to salvage allied Zerg things that you don't own directly, right? I don't know. I have to think about that. Like, not that I would restrict the race. I just restrict the ownership part. But, you know, that's fine. I think it's okay. Like, people are going to grief each other or whatever. Dogweed? Yeah, got him. What's up, Solstice? What do you mean by help? You can salvage your... Like, I can salvage the hatch, you know, as you can see here. Although I am noticing that the overlay is applying in the wrong... The sub-overlay is applying to the... unit. This is supposed to be target. Not... Yeah, that's the issue right there. So... We'll just do this. It's much more much saner. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Salvaging the uptecton, not the structure. The uptecton. No longer a block. What's the problem? I got rid of the thing that was being blocked. Oh, I was supposed to get rid of the thing that was doing the blocking? Dang. Ah, oh, jeez. What's up, Jujik? How you doing? I was going to do a casting stream today, but I really want to keep working on the SCSI. And I just feel like that's more important. Like, casting is cool and fun. And people have been playing some good games, but... Oh, shit, there was a donation? Oh, fuck. Oh, jeez, I didn't have the things enabled. Hold on, now I do. Hold on, Batman. We'll replay it. For posterity's sake, let's go. Alert box. No, that's not what it was. Where's the recent events? Unbelievable. Yeah, do it.
Call the salvage ability Nonum or we riot. Signed top Ascasi player.
Oh no, not Ascasi. That's not how you pronounce it. Jesus. Well, thank you for the $10. That is 1/5 of the weekend wage funding. Can you guys believe that? Thank you, Lord Dragon. I appreciate it. Ascasi. It's like talking about a coffee or something. That's what it makes me think of. But maybe that's just because I always think about the coffee page. Oh! He's too good at this shilling thing. Please someone stop me. I'm not going to call it nom nom. It is salvage protocol, but you can call it nom nom. And then when I see you use it, Godwheat, I will refer to it as Godwheat nom nomming his buildings. There you go. You have my word. I'll at least do that once while you're watching. All right, so yeah, technically I can play the same donation over and over again if I wanted to, but why would I do that? It devalues future donations if I do that. All right, you can't target yourself. That's good. I think... Okay, so obviously player 11 stuff doesn't work. Good. If you salvage a gas cap, I'm pretty sure it just kills it like normal. So I don't think there's any concern with like weird issues like that, where if we spawn an arch real quick, and I salvage that. Yep, it just turns into a ridge, which we can then sort of start building again. Okay. All right, so put a building modifier. I think it was supposed to be 25% for the dyad. Moscozi chop their tails off a lot of the time for their baseline infantry. You'll see some tail Discozy in later stages, and you'll also see some absolutely horrific creation. TBH. Oh yeah, Arbuz, welcome to the chat. I have already prohibited neutrals, so that's fine. That should have just implemented the dyad construction rate being faster. We'll just speed this up to demonstrate. No, it doesn't. Well, it is. It is, but not in the HP sense. It's going to have less health. That's really funny. Terran. All right. There is a dyad code in here that is pretty easy to just add, so that's fine. Yeah, let's do this, and then... Do we have a builder, a unit, the dyad, game? Okay. Let's go back to the building modifier, because there's another thing I just noticed here. These need to be wrapped in parentheses. That's probably the source of our fucked math, actually, if you think about it. Okay, so it did build a lot faster. I'm noticing that much. Fraud champ in the chat, boys. We are adding Viscosi to the drop-down menu. I hope Jesse's proud of what he just did to me. Somebody post a clip of that so that Jesse can see it. Yeah, random will be added again. This is just, he's adding a different option. He's editing the option itself. So that's progress. It's not actually implemented yet. Good eye, though, Ire. Good eye. If the Escozi met Space Godzilla, would they worship him like a god? Probably. Probably. I have an idea for Escozi. I think they need to have a Nexus Tier 3 level. It can make Photonical Shield. I think it would probably be an either or. So you talked about how the Cornucopia passive would also be on it. I think refilling all minerals is something that the bounty should be unique in. And then we can add add a different thing for the tier 3 one. I don't hate the idea of a tier 3 town center though. I think that's pretty neat. I also was having the idea, guys, that rather than, so right now the bounty just trains all the same stuff that the Landlock does, but I was thinking maybe the Landlock will have the Proselyte and the Dyad, and that'll be a unique set of add-ons that they have in addition to the Pilgrim, while the Bounty makes the Pilgrim and then 2 different units. Including, obviously, like the Flying Worker might come from there, which would replace the Dyad, and then some other utilitarian unit or Skirmisher unit or something that replaces the Proselyte. I think that could be pretty interesting. Tomb Salvage returns money back was the reason why I was thinking Ally Salvage may be worth limiting. Oh, yeah. You can't block player... You can't salvage neutral stuff. He might be behind on YouTube. You can somehow... Sometimes you'll find out that you're not on the live part of the stream anymore. But he might be experiencing that. I need to edit the function... Oh, that reminds me. I should message Veek about adding some sort of indicator. We could add some indicator to Arcade that the match featured a random hit. Just wanted to indicate that as well. Scepter Russian Decapitation. It's free resources. Oh yeah, I guess that's true, right? You do get money back from consuming neutral corpses right now. I haven't thought about whether or not I want to change that. Because like neutral corpses they behave like any other corpse most of the time. So should I allow you to do that? I kind of like that the Escozi have this ability to exploit natural stuff on the ground. I mean, neutral stuff on the map. I think that makes it interesting. And it also creates like a little sub-objective for them to have these like fonts of resources. Of course, it's a balancing consideration when you make it the map now, so that there is like, it creates more design overhead in that way. But I think that's actually pretty neat. I don't know. I'm sure some people think otherwise, and they're like, that's OP or whatever. But honestly, I think that the Escozi having the ability to do that is pretty unique in a positive way, not in a way that's like, fuck, this is powerful. Oh, look at this. This is the code. So the reason why Ire's point about the fact that random was missing is because Jesse just forgot to add the random line in this code. So this is pretty cool. This, we could just add, blood summon, all sorts of shit. And obviously they're disabled and ranked for now in this listing because they're not ready for competitive. But they will be added there eventually, right? So that's pretty neat. I like that. Only 600 for clearing your choke. Yeah, what is it? It's like 250 or whatever. No, I can't remember how much the Monument of Sin is. So 450 and 650. 450, 650. It's almost the price of an Atlas because you get half of the cost or whatever. So that's pretty neat. How did you not see that I was live? I don't know, Vilius. You've been having that problem. Owned and devastated. Well, we can go ahead and add the salvage is implemented. Oh, this is the old salvage. We can go ahead and do that, and then we can go to the dyad passive and say that that's implemented. And then I think the dyad weapon is also fixed, but I'll verify that. I just reached 10k APM in a pause game. That's really good. Kron? What is that a... I don't know what that is, Solstice. You'll have to enlighten me. All scepter all the time. That's what Dog thinks. He's just mass scepters. Yeah, they're a little jank right now. Can their weapon work now? It can indeed work, but it has no weapon hit, so we'd probably have to add that from the... that's pretty easy to fix. It's just Mason. Appear on target unit 141. Obviously, we'll give them custom stuff later. Oh, erase from your Starcraft 2 custom race. Yeah. Mass Vicar is better, says Vilius. Oh my god, they're arguing over which monocomp unit you can do. Yeah, tier 2 works for the Escozi. Think of it like the bounty requirement and the abutment requirement. Like, that's your tier 2 requirement. So when you have both Cypher and Gauntlet, you can enable tier 2. Or you do enable tier 2. And then that includes the Proscenium, the Xylode, and then when you want the Astrolabe, you need one of the tech relays over here, right? So one of the tech relays from the tier 2 biotic or the tier 2 mechanized, but we don't have those defined in the plans yet. No, you do not need to build a bounty in order to access any of the tech. In the same way that the landlock, you could lose your landlock, but if you have the money, your pilgrims can still make a radix or a function or whatever. There's no tech requirement from the landlock there. It doesn't unlock anything. I guess you could argue that maybe like the landlock could unlock the arch, and then the bounty could unlock the abutment, but I feel like that's not really that important. It is actually pretty interesting that the abutment is pretty cheap, and also is unlocked fairly early. But again, you have to remember that the Escozi have an opportunity cost to their workers building stuff. Right now, the build rate is off, right? Like, we all have seen the build rate being incorrect. Not what I intended for them, based on the passive description and such. Like, the shared designs, it says that each additional pilgrim is supposed to increase the construction rate by 15%, but it's like 2 of them makes it, like, doubly as fast or whatever. So that's just incorrect right now. But... once that settles down, you'll see that the Escozi are way less cost efficient with their, like, they get less money in the early game, unless they don't assist their production. But if they don't assist the construction of their structures take much longer than the other races. So that's the trade-off you play when you play Escozi, is that you will have less cost-efficient stuff than the opponent. You need to micro to get that cost efficiency back up, which is where you get all of the harassment options. And then in order to get access to your assault stuff, in the tier 1 space, you need to invest in some tech, and it's going to end up being a little bit pricier than you would like, even for the assault units eventually. Like, they will be, like, they're pretty good. Tie rate is outrageous right now. There's like things like that are really, really powerful, but they will eventually cost a lot, be somewhat prohibitive in cost, and you'll need to get, you'll need to have to try to, like, use the scepter to pay for them. If your enemy goes air, the Helion is going to be able to consume a lot of their corpses very quickly, because the Helion's a very good, cost-efficient anti-air unit, which I think air-to-air units, like the Valkyrie, the Helion, the Nathrakor kind of provides this role, even though it can attack ground. And the Land Effect, I think it's really good when those are powerful units, because they don't care that much. They don't really do that much versus the ground. Land Effect and Nathrakor interact with ground, but the Helion is like, it's really about taking those corpses and shredding them into something. So. Yeah, they are building too fast right now. You can tell because, like, what should happen is we have the Escozi landlocks here, right? And so if we take a look at the tooltip, it says it takes 80 seconds. So we will speed up the game. And this one will have taken 80 seconds over here. And this one will have taken much less than, what is 80? 15% of 80, we'll do percentage calculator real quick. What is 15% of 80? It's 12. So it should take, oh man, I'm really bad at napkin math, or offhand broadcast math as they call it. So it's done. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now the landlock should be done, if that was all correct, right? But actually, it's like way more than that. So, yeah. So it's supposed to be 68, as you mentioned. Each individual one is increasing it a sizable amount more than that. So this is like, that was probably like, I don't know if it was exactly cutting it in half. It didn't seem like it. It looks like it was a little bit less than that. But either way, the math is incorrect. So I have to check my percentages. I have to see if there's some other fucking weird code that I don't have hooked or something. So yeah, I got to change the tooltip, not the code. I got to change the tooltip. Yeah. And you saw that the HP gain was still wrong there as well, even though I wrapped the stuff correctly and fixed the math there. But that just is what it is. Like, we'll figure that out. That's one of the reasons why they're not enabled and ranked. I mean, the other reason is their tier 1 isn't fully implemented, their tier 2 isn't done in any capacity and all of that stuff, right? But like, I can't enable them in ranked until that bug is. That much is for sure. So, see how it goes. Development's going pretty well, though. Seeing that it's going to be this easy to add the race drop down is pretty exciting news, right? Because, you could imagine this, the Escozi get shuffled up here underneath Protoss, and then the next one is Blood Summon, and then after that it's Kogri, and then what's the 7th race, guys? Who knows? Is there going to be one? Who knows? Escozi 5 worker limit? I don't know what you're talking about. You mean that there's a limit of 5 workers that can assist? Yeah, that's just because I didn't want it to get to the point where you were using 15 workers for one structure or whatever. That's like a limitation that's a nod to the fact that, like, part of the choice that you're making is to dedicate so many workers to construction means that you lose out on some money, but you need the thing really fast. So, like a panic grandstand or something, right? That's like a thing that you're choosing to do. And I think that's fine. But if you were if you were able to use 30 workers to build a grandstand in 1 second, then you actually don't pay any opportunity cost, and then you just go back to mining, and then it feels like you've defeated the point of the behavior, right? So that's the reason that there's a limit. Game design reason. All right, lads, let's take a look at the hijack. I do want to check that out. It looks like we do not have our hijack ability or order ID defined in here, but we do have it. That probably means that it's the same configuration issue that we saw in the salvage stuff. The hijack is tech ID 36, and an order ID hijack is 122. So let's go here. And we'll say tech ID 36. Watch. 688 is our highlight for our icon. And then excellent. And then obscured is this. And this is usability. Hijack. Okay, so with that fixed, we might be able to be in. Might be able to be in an app. Oh, that's interesting. Let's take a look. Oh, I also just noticed that the icon was wrong. That's funny. Let me fix that. That's not that big of a deal, but. What was the icon ID we just decided? 688 is what it's supposed to be. Let's go to crafting. I think that's still my Escozi notes. Yeah, look at that. Well, we fixed the dyad. Here, get that off. Construction usability improvements. Not sure about this just yet. Yeah, the hijack stuff is already coded in for the restoring the embedded units. And then the intended bounce control. Okay. That's a helpful little refresher, I suppose. Oh, interesting. So hijack isn't that, or did I do 688? I did 688 instead of 688. All right, so let's figure out why it's crashing. My guess is I don't like null check target at some point, but find out. SCSI hijack. Target does not equal null pointer. Why is it doing it that way then? I guess I have to do it in a different way. If target turn. Yeah, moving. Okay. Well, that fixes that. That was stupid. Where's Executor? That was. I think Executor hasn't been around for. Let's find out. Oh, we'll just do this. Oh, shit. Okay, well, it does work, sort of. There's no counterplay right now. It just happens. And then you get your guy back. That's honestly, I didn't think it would work that easily, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, so that's interesting. So we have to add a little bit more logic to there. Yeah, that's kind of intentional, eggs, but eventually their weapons just won't require. They'll eventually either like the object, which is the golem graphic, just has a disabled set of weapons. Like it just does that. I actually think for the object, it can probably just do. We can probably just do that so that they can't receive orders, and that way they won't change their animation either. Or at least they shouldn't. It has no relation to the Aurora mechanic, that's for sure. Okay. Let's see. So, yeah, eventually, like, the tirade will just shoot everything in range, and the scepter will not need to turn to face its target. Probably the best way to do this, unfortunately, in this engine, I think the best way to do this is to make different units that you transform the unit into. Which is, I kind of wanted it to be more generalizable, but that's what I'm thinking right now is probably going to be the best way forward. Interesting about the Vicar. What the fuck? It's supposed to deal 2x7. Oops. It clearly is doing more than that. So that's probably why people are like, oh, the Vicar's so cool. It's so epic. It's dealing like 4 times the damage. All right, reasonable. Yeah, so now the object can't turn anymore, so you can see it in its actual deployed state. So that's fine. Let's go to figure out why the Vicar is attacking so much. I'm guessing it's just like an issue with the number of attacks that it's calling. Attack with 1. Oh, no. It's attack with 1. Interesting. Yeah, why does that? Well, let's check the weapon IDs. Okay, it's not like the case where the object was using a weapon ID that was being used for other things. There's like Skyfall ability targeting. We can just get rid of that. That's not a problem. That's for the Rove. Scepter is... okay. The Scepter is the retractor batteries. We can get rid of those. And the Ursa driver is also that. We can get rid of those. And then any hard code that's associated with those abilities will become obvious. Yeah, the Oberon was never implemented. Well, it kind of was, but it's... 0178? Yeah, the Spear Tooth. Okay, so that's not a problem. And then... Let's see. Alru is fine. Helion. The Air. Horseman. Yeah, here we go. Was Didact weapon. Hard code beware. I don't think the weapon ID was ever used, though. Okay. Everything there seems fine. Yeah, Green Eggs. I said earlier that you were actually the reason I decided not to immediately push that, so that the hijack would be implemented at the same time. The only trouble is it took a while for hijack to get implemented, right? So, let's go to Inkblot. Yeah, isn't it just on there? It might not be. Okay. Okay, so let's go here. And then let's say... It's like a pseudo attach, basically. And then, let's see. So we hide and disable the hijacker. At this time, that was what I was going to make sure to do. That's what I still was thinking about here. nullify that so that when they respawn, they're fine. Okay. All right, let's see how that works out. We still haven't done the mechanic for implementing it. Well, I guess we should do, like... Oh. It still seems to remove the unit. Oh. Well, that would be because I made a typo earlier. Hang on. Didn't compile. Teleport unit. It's being hijacked. I guess what we can do is we can... Timer is being hijacked. Yeah, so... This is where we need to define that, like, the... let's do this. All right, we will say... we'll get back to that, and then we'll say else, and put all this stuff in here. This is fine. So then we'll say, let's go to weapon damage. So this is where we do all of this. We say... Basically, yeah, we can just copy all of this code. And we'll say this is this, that, and then... You know... Should be good there. Basically, we're reactivating it. And then we're going to say, like, hijacker status. I think we're going to do that no matter what. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Let's also go back up to where we were adding the hijack stuff. Oh, we did not include a break after the die. That no. Here. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty good. Let's do that. Here. So Notably, it does not change the player color, so we should fix that. Oh yeah, that's an unrelated thing. We'll fix that later. And then, there's no like audio visuals to it or whatever, right? But so let's go ahead and figure this one out. Interesting. So we still have the that's weird. We're supposed to... Oh, it plays the wrong iScript, that's for sure. iScript, animation, GND, tag to idle. Probably order to idle as well, why not? And then, I'm not sure that that's enough, though. I also didn't test to see how the... Yeah, we do give unit, but apparently that's not sufficient. Let's see. The mind control ability stuff should be, like, should have this stuff in here as well, right? So let's see here. What do we do? Unit mind control. Oh, maybe we're supposed to do this? Maybe this is more accurate. Give to. Unit, give to. I don't know. That might be what we need there. I don't know. We'll see what that looks like a little bit later. I'm looking. Okay, pretty good. Pretty good time actually. Pretty good. This has been really good progress because I was struggling yesterday to make this stuff work. But yeah, hijack is working, and restoring ground units is almost working. We can go ahead and clear that off the list completely because the hijack stuff does work for enemies. We just have to add some audio visuals. Ideally. For now, I guess I'll go ahead and put this over here as well. So that there is an audio visual associated with it. But I'm also going to leave a to-do own audio visuals because we don't have like a sound effect there. You won't see too many very large Ascosi units, because the point of the race is to be a little bit more on the guerrilla warfare hit and run style, you know? That's typically their style. You'll see some units that are larger, but typically they're going to be more on the proliferation side. Like, there's probably going to be bigger... There's going to be more large Zerg units than there are going to be large Ascosi units. That's... Which doesn't mean that there's going to be more Ascosi units on the battlefield than there are going to be more Zerg units. Zerg units are still going to be the most numerous. I don't think even the Blood Summon and the Kogri will change that. But the Kogri are pretty cool for other reasons. They do have some Horde components, but it's more like a branch as opposed to the whole thing. Whereas like Zerg is the whole thing is like quantity. What else do we got here? So this will actually kill it beforehand, which is pretty interesting. I don't know. Oh. My guess is I need to go to weapon unit destructor special and then clear some... Oh, I know what it is, actually. It's completely unrelated to that. Unfortunately, we have to keep indenting here, because I can't just break out of this. This is a huge function. So that's why, though. We just had to null check Hijacker. That was an easy fix. Glad we checked that. We'll check the how it works against the Maverick. We will check about the whether or not we can actually use our embedded units. Imply. So we'll grab this guy. So we do still end up having the attributes as if the... Oh, well. I copy-pasted it, and that would be why. Let's come down here and steal this Maverick. I was originally thinking that a unit shouldn't be able to attack its own hijacker. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Hey, look at that. We got our man. And then, ta-da! Ink blot back. It even preserves your control group, which is pretty cool. It does not... You don't get the control group with the Maverick, but it does give them back after. Okay, so... I thought maybe I did actually have some sound effects set aside for hijacking, so let me just see about that real quick. Doesn't look like it. So I guess we'll just leave that for now. But yeah, we should be able to say that the other thing is implemented. Very nice, very epic work. Let's go ahead and mark this as... hijacked units, hijacked combatants, hijacked targets, release, is released from the hijacked form. On death. That's probably a fine way to put it. That's pretty nifty, though. Also, I do want to test an interaction that I believe is going to be... It's balanced if it doesn't do what I think it does. But I'm pretty sure it'll do what I think it does. And it's epic if it does what I think it does. So let's take a look. Take a look. Let's see if I'm right. Oh shit. It doesn't release the thing. We gotta fix that, I think. Yeah, the funk remove thing. So maybe we could do target, inflict damage or whatever. What are we doing with the golem in exactly? Or the object? I keep calling it the golem. Damage with. Okay. So this is what damage with. Custom. Okay, what's next? I know. Okay, damage is... I guess we'll say... I guess we can actually just leave it there, probably. I don't think we want to define an attacker, because then it'll give you, like, a notification that your unit is under attack. Yeah, that's fine. Let me... No, what I'm doing with the damage right now is just... I'm basically doing damage to... fatal damage to the unit, so it'll proc on death effects. Including releasing the Inkblot or Avatar or whatever the hijacker is. But it's important for a few other things as well. Like, this also means that if you, for example... if you do this, it will actually... It should now, yeah, create the Droleth again, right? Which it didn't do before. Oh. Apparently he doesn't clear the target, I guess. That might be what happened there. I don't actually know. We'll try. See what we can come up with here. Yeah, I guess what we should probably do is, if when this occurs, we should do unit order to idle, so that it stops the salvage order. That makes a lot of sense. All right. Anyway, that's not really the main focus here. We're gonna do this, or we're gonna do. And then also, I guess since I keep forgetting to run the grafting thing to fix the icon, I'll do that now. So what should happen now is that this guy will pop, and then we'll get our guy back. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. Okay. So that's exactly what we were hoping would occur, but we probably did introduce a bunch of new behaviors that may not immediately be apparent, you know? So we'll go ahead and build our plugin and see if we fixed that part, but yeah. Oh, and we should still test on the restoring grounded units part. I'm pretty sure that's fine. The tirade mass targeting, I don't know what is stopping the tirade mass targeting from working. I really couldn't tell you guys. Because the Madrigal Furious Salvo thing, the fire multiple stuff, is exactly what I copied for the... I copied exactly this for the tirade. So that would make me feel like, and that's only if reassembly is active, of course. And then we fire multiple and it does its thing. Obviously, that makes me think that there is some potential issue with the way that the weapon is configured. Like, that has something to do with it. And maybe it does. We'll have to find out. All right, let's test that interaction that we were just talking about, and then we'll test the substitutes. So what should happen here is the circuit should eventually be destroyed. Oh. It's not... Oh, okay. We need to do damage equal to that plus 1, I guess? I guess it's probably based on armor, actually. How do we do something different? What is weapon ID custom used for? I guess what we could do is we could say weapon ID custom, and it's what if we do a SCSI, or we do custom and we mark it as ignore armor? I don't know if that makes sense though. Yeah, I don't know if that really makes sense. It is supposed to be staggered like Madrigal. It just doesn't work at all right now. That's the main issue. So game hooks is one thing that invokes weapon ID does not equal custom. If it does equal custom, then it's doing it with weapon damage custom, which maybe does have a few cases. I guess we can check calls to this. Damage with custom. Okay, this includes armor pen. I guess we could make it so that the... How often does damage with custom exist? I guess that's the next question. Okay, it's used for stuff like that. That makes some sense. Okay. Let's do damage with custom. And then we can leave the rest. Okay. No, this is all a one-time damage for the salvage. It's just, you've reached the end of the salvage time. Poof. But in this particular case, the salvage just didn't actually pop. And I don't want to do more damage than it currently has for things that are like bleeding the damage over. For example, if the Circuit was at half HP and then it was salvaged and it would actually bleed the excess damage to the Kagrant beneath it. And that's obviously not what we want either, so... Yeah, I am implementing it in a particular way, but that's because there's a lot of particulars that I gotta respect, so... We'll go ahead and do that. Alright, it seems to work, and it also seems to stop the unit from salvaging the next thing, which is a deliberate choice. And then we do this, and then pop, and then... We pop. Okay. So far, I think that's pretty good. That seems like it's all implemented well. So we're going to call that one good to go. And indeed, the armor was the thing that was causing that issue, which was the main thought that I had. So we still need to test a different interaction, which is the ink blot with the scepter, and pop this guy. Oop. And it has the hijack art and everything. Look at that. Then it moves again. Isn't that wonderful? And obviously our ink blot doesn't, like... I was thinking that maybe the ink blot should still be put into it, so you have to consume it. You need to lose the ink blot in order to reactivate the scepter, and then when the scepter dies again, it's rooted again. But that there creates like a clown car interaction that could happen, where you have... you expend an ink blot to reactivate it, it dies and becomes inert again, and then you spend another ink blot to reactivate it, and you will only get one ink blot at that point. I think that would actually be fine. I don't think that would be a concern of mine that, oh, you only get one of them or whatever, but that is technically an issue there. So for now, I think it's fine if the ink blot stays alive, the avatar stays alive, and they just reactivate it as it stands. So I have to add those extra bits of jargon there, but yeah, that's implemented now. That's very nice. Also, I think what we need to do, thinking about it, is we need to disable collision. No. Yeah. So let's go to Inkblot. Yeah. We have to do no collide here. And then we need to jump down here and say I don't know if we want to do it. I don't actually know when we want to do it per se. We might want to do it when we show and enable the hijacker, which is on weapon death, right? Hijack exit. And then I guess what we would want to do here is say, why do we even bother giving the hijacker to the target again? I don't think we actually need that, believe it or not. But yeah, we'll just remove the no collide flag here. I think that's fine. How many ink blots? Yeah, it could easily be something along those lines. All right. Yeah, that's pretty good, honestly. I think we're ready to go ahead and push this to pre-release. I don't think I broke anything horribly, so I mean that's what pre-release is for finding out as well, so that's good. Let me just make sure I'm on the latest pre, though. I believe I am. Yeah. Okay. Paste that. Paste that shit. Yeah, the building time I don't have fixed. I was also investigating the report that you said where pilgrims themselves seem to block the pathing. And the reason, it's actually not true that it doesn't happen to dyads, as you can see. So, it also doesn't matter that it's pilgrims. It's anything that will actually get in the way, as you can see here. But it has nothing to do with, you know, what you're using it with or whatever. It's just a question of whether they can actually reach the position. And they can't reach the exact position, and so they break. There should be a way to fix this. Obviously, there's going to be a way to fix this. I just haven't cracked it yet. The thing that we check here for is in the HP gain. Actually, there's another HP gain thing down here, isn't there? Generic progress. Oh, this is... interesting. Okay, whatever, that's something else then. Okay, so yeah, we are looking here for inside SCV build 2. That's not what we want, actually. This is the start. Okay, let's see. Yeah, the is at building site thing is the main issue here. So... one of the things I kept trying to do is make it so that the distance wanted is actually to the outer border of the structure. So they start it when they reach the outer border and not when they reach the center. But I can never get it to properly work that way. So I just have to figure out like a better solution to that. And that's really convoluted. It's not something that I've... going on, nutfucks? I could, but then I wouldn't be as productive. Yeah, looking around at the army units and stuff, the missionary had some issue where it doesn't always play its sound effect, and I'm not really sure why. That's Visual Studio 2020. It's not the latest one. It's like 2025, maybe? 2022, apparently. There's a new one, but I haven't used it yet. Ground attack repeat. Ground attack repeat just as attack with. Oh, well, apparently there's a no break code in where there shouldn't be. I don't think that has anything to do with our issue, though. Yeah, so then we go to the, like, API or whatever for this effects. Manual, fire, get weapon fire sound. And then the missionary Aruo twin shot has a random between these three. And for whatever reason, sometimes it just doesn't seem to play. Not sure why. It seems a little bit more likely that these have been misdefined or something. Let's go figure it out together. Go to sounds, missionary. So WF 01, 02, 03 are 4044 through 4046, which is actually not what we see here. We actually have the vicar here. So where's the vicar? Or what are we missing here exactly? There's the construction sounds, which begin at 4035. Okay, that actually is probable. Like, if we look at Blood Summon, no, Warp 02. Yeah, it's like one extra here because there's like, it starts at line 1 instead of whatever, you know what I mean? So that's expected, actually, I think. Can't remember. The first entry is null or something. But missionary. So we have the grandstand weapon fires, 32 through 34, which I think were also technically not implemented correctly or something. Something weird about the grandstand sound effects when I saw it. 32 through 34 is correct here. And then we have... we go down to that with Escozi Constructions, 35 through 39. What we have here. And then the Pilgrim... Ah, the Pilgrim weapon fire is listed here, but it's not here. We never defined it in here, it looks like. So that's what we were missing. That's why things are out of sync. So 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. I'm guessing it goes straight from there to Proselyte. Let's go back up to make sure. Missionary, then Proselyte, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 1, and then Tirade is 52, 53, 54, 55 for the Avatar. Not that we even have that implemented yet, but I did define the sounds for it. And then we have the deployment of 58, 59, 60, and then the unit deployment is 61. And then we have... Apparently we have Cardinal. Weapon fire, 01. Oh, the Cardinal weapon fire is done differently, though. Cardinal weapon... 4062, 4064. Yeah, we don't have support for melee weapon fires like that in this particular way. And then we have that in the hits. And then we go to Rove weapon fire, which is 68. Okay, then it gets corrected, basically. So now we're just going to go ahead and add weapon fire entries for the Pilgrim, which we will come down here and do. And we'll say Pilgrim weapon fire 01. Although I think we might need to implement those manually or whatever. And then this starts at 94. And then we're good to 97. Wonderful. Going on Iramir. Yeah, I thought about that. The overlay is a little... it's a little bit old. There might be like... when I'm doing coding or something with small text, it might be better to change up the overlays so that the... I don't really know how to elegantly put chat on the screen, my camera on the screen. I have a green screen, so I could do that. Anything like that. I don't really know what the best method for that is exactly, but yeah. You're using 2022 Professional for work? Yeah, I don't mind 2022. I mean, we have an immortal saying in this community, which is "fuck you, Visual Studio," because sometimes it does do stupid stuff. But I'm used to the stupid stuff that Visual Studio currently does, and so I don't know if I want to upgrade, because I'm sure there's going to be different stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, fuck you, Visual Studio. See? There it is. Told you. All right, so we were just Talking about the missionary. Oh yeah, that's much more accurate. Yeah, that sounds bad. You guys don't hear the sounds, but the rove weapon fire is off though. The rove weapon fires seem to be bleeding into the ready line. So it's 68 through 70 is what it's supposed to be. Let's see here. It is indeed, but then we have 71. Okay, so we probably are actually out of sync somewhere in here then, because if we go down to where the rove. Also, we didn't define the pilgrim weapon fires yet, so we have to add those towards the bottom here. Let's go here, and we're going to say pilgrim. But we do not have, let's see, 68. 68. No, that actually is correct, huh? 68, 69, 70. 68, 69, 70 for the weapon fires. And then we go into ready 71. Why does it do that then? Well, I think we're using the same thing anyway. But yeah, it's. Listen, I don't mind if there's improvements to my workflow. No worries there. That's for sure. Why would that be doing that? That's a question. So we don't have any play sounds for the attack. It just attacks, which is good. That's what we want. Yeah, very weird, very strange. Let's see if we can figure that one out. That tells me something is out of pocket. Well, we know the missionary weapon fire works fine, and the missionary weapon fire is defined as 40-43, and the first one here is 40-44. So that's why, when we get to the rove, at some point we are actually out of sync in a way that we shouldn't be, because this should be 40-69 here. So we're missing something. My guess is that there's a weapon hit or weapon fire that has a fourth entry. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, interesting. There is a missing unit deployment call here. So that's where we are off. Let's go to here. Let's go to sound. And then we have a unit deploy A unit deploy 01.log. Oops. And then we should be good now. That should fix all of the issues with the sound. All right, I think like I said earlier, I think I'm ready to fix up the all of the stuff fixed up. I don't know why the Vicar has that issue though. That's really odd to me. Maybe we can say We'll investigate that real quick, because that feels odd. I don't know why it's like that. We do have an attack overlay for the Vicar. It is only 2 entries, so I don't really know why there would be a problem. We go to the Vicar here, because it is only supposed to attack twice. And as you can see, it is tracked to the weapon, so that part is correct. Yeah, everything about this is accurate as far as those are concerned. So then if we go to our weapon fire, we probably don't use... I don't believe the Vicar has an entry for its overlay, or whatever. Let's go to images here. I don't think it has a code entry anyway. It does have an attack overlay listed, so that's good. So I guess what we just need to do now is go here. Oh wait, no, it's not going to be hidden here anyway. It's probably going to be in like utils or wherever that is. Vicar. Let's see. Maybe we can find it if we just search for the weapon ID. Well, the prismatic blaster for the idol presumably has some. Okay, right here. Yeah. So let's do... this. Count is 2. Maybe that'll magically fix it. I don't know. Does the scepter have one? Which ones have attack? Just the Helion does as well, which doesn't have it defined here, so we should try fixing that. Helion goes Scrap Ray. Let's quickly check. I'm pretty sure the Helion one is only 1 attack. I guess we can check by going into the plot here. Yeah, there's only 1 entry, so we're going to call that one offset 1. That's fine. There you go. All right, so, and we should also double check that in this case, the Helion has an attack entry for it, which it does not. Let's go to Images TBL, and interesting, okay. That's not what I want to do. CM, Ascosi, Helion, attack.lol, define the entry. We got to redo our images.ex here, and then we just have to define it in there. Helion. Okay, so now we should be good to see the turn of events there. Do you agree that spellcasters were way too strong in OG Starcraft / Brood War, especially the you must be talking about the Defiler from the Zerg? So it depends on what you mean. Strength is inarguable, like it's inarguable that they are strong, right? I don't know why it's still firing extra shots. It's very odd. And then what else were we testing? We were testing yeah, that seems to be accurate to that part. All right, we still got to figure out why the Vicar is attacking with extra projectiles. I don't know why that happens. That happens for a couple of them. Yeah, so to give my thoughts more concretely on the units, I would actually say that like the biggest issue with spellcasters in StarCraft 1 is that they are a lot of point and click stuff. Obviously, StarCraft 2 has this syndrome as well with like, there's a long period of time where it was like snipe feedback wars between Ghost High Templar in TVP. And I never thought that that was particularly interesting gameplay. It was a lot of spam click. Obviously, you had to be somewhat precise with it. I'm not saying it didn't take skill on the player side, but it's not very compelling to just have units evaporate as soon as they make contact with each other. This is the main issue with like the Baneling. This is the main issue with, in some ways, the Disruptor, although that's a little bit of a different case. This is the main reason why people didn't like Widow Mines as well. Like, there's other components to why these people disliked these units, but a lot of it came down to with very little interaction, you can just erase a unit or many units in certain cases, depending on what you're talking about. And I think that fundamental issue is actually what happens with StarCraft 1 spellcasting is that, okay, it doesn't kill the unit, but Plague reduces everything to 1 health. Plague obviously is a pretty big component. A Dark Swarm just makes units immortal, invulnerable to most damage types. And that is a case where it's kind of the opposite problem. I think when you deny interaction, that's the biggest issue. So denying interaction is Dark Swarm because it stops you from doing damage. But it's also irradiate, because I just walk up to you and I irradiate your unit and you can't do anything about it. There's no counterplay there. There's no restore for Zerg. And also, by the way, the interaction is non-existent versus Protoss virtually, because you mostly cannot damage their units with Irradiate, so you prefer to use your energy on Defensive Matrix, or EMP, because that will also deny interaction by removing energy and shields off of the Protoss stuff. So a Broodling, Spawn Broodling, just kills the unit. So that's a denial of interaction. I'm no longer interacting with your unit, and you have no defense against it, really. You have to preemptively kill my unit, but you don't have any tools to do so. If there were 2 different races that had a point-and-click kill the unit spell that acted instantaneously as soon as the projectile hit, I think in StarCraft 1 you would see a similar sort of interaction to the snipe feedback war that I was talking about in StarCraft 2, where High Templar feedback the Ghosts and kill them, or the Ghosts snipe the High Templar and kill them. So I think generally speaking, you're going to see stuff like that pretty heavily. A lot of the time, you're going to see a lot of such cases for interaction denial. I think that really is what it comes down to. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to increase the time to kill a little bit so that battles take a little bit longer. So they do take a little bit longer in Cosmonarchy on average. However, not to the degree that, like, obviously Warcraft 3 is famous for its glacial pacing in the battles. But you make way more units than in Warcraft 3, and so there's more of a range of engagement lengths. Because if you have a really big army, you might be able to just plow through something and kill it all. And there are some late game abilities or some niche cases where you can glass stuff with the Star Sovereign, or you can call down a nuke. You know, stuff like that obviously is a pretty famous case of dealing a lot of damage in one area. But there's a lot of setup cost to it. There's some, you know, tech acquisition cost to it. There's opportunity cost. And then, even then, in the execution, there's a charge up. There's a duration where the thing is not happening yet, and you have counterplay to it in both the Star Sovereign case and glassing stuff, right? And the calling down the Morning Star case. So. What's up, Adam? I don't actually know anything about Solstice's work, so as far as the Chiron, if I'm saying that right, Chiron is how I would probably think to say it, but that would be spelled differently, I think. That race, I don't actually know much about it. Maybe there is some similarity with the Iskozi, though. Well, spellcasters are a little bit more than just supportive to the army. Yeah, they don't outright kill the units, but they do still do an interaction denial, like slow or purge. These are like, you know, they're not as impactful in the sense that they kill the unit outright, although there's a lot of dispel for killing summoned units, but that's more of a niche thing. I really don't like the way Warcraft 3 uses spellcasters because they feel very controlling. I actually think if heroes didn't exist, the spellcasters would feel probably more interesting because they still would warp battles, but again, it's, to your point, it doesn't just kill the unit and deny the interaction. So. But you do use spells in Warcraft 3 to negate enemy armies. They just don't kill them. It's just like a timed negation. Polymorph. Slow. You know. Stuff like that. Or they enchant your army to the point where they can't be interacted with unless you dispel. It's like a race to get dispel magic up. That's how you know spellcasters really morph the engagements. That everybody and their mother is building up dispel in competitive Warcraft 3, right? Wand of negation shit. Don't say that, shopkeeper dog. Or perhaps I should say, don't tempt. Oh yeah, Batrider's suicide to kill enemy units, basically enemy air units. They do so much damage. Alchemist does just immediately negate a unit. That's true. It just converts it into gold. Dark Ranger is charm. Banshee Possession is an instant, Arbus. I don't know if you knew that. It is a channel now. I don't know how long it's been like that, but I don't recall it being like that when I played it in the way back. But I noticed that at some point. They have like a fairly lengthy channel. All right, so I think we are, with the exception of the fact that I have no idea how to fix the Vicar and the Scepter in some angles as well. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that. Well, it's more it's 100 to negative 100 because you get the unit, right? So. It always was a channel? I swear it was instantaneous in some cases. But maybe I was conflating it with charm. Most of my memories from before, like... I did play it in, like, before Reforged came out, and it had the channel then. But I thought that when I played it as a kid, it was instant, but I could have been conflating it with charm. Charm is instant, and it just steals a unit, which is pretty wild. It also made it so that you couldn't... They had to like add a bunch of arbitrary like units became level 6 just randomly because that way they can't be charmed. It's really... A lot of game design is fraught with... A lot of public game design, like modern game design or game design in terms of AAA games or whatever, it's fraught with just, you can't do that because then it would be imbalanced instead of like having a... working around that perceived imbalance or whatever. So. Yeah, I have no clue what's going on with the Vicar and why it's attacking in the way that it is. We did get it to fire with offsets, which is a good... It's like a good little bit of progress. But if we go to the Vicar itself and we see the attack animation for it, it does just do attack with 1. And I wanted it to just attack like manually or whatever with the 2. If you go to the... Like what I mean by that is if you define a weapon with a factor of 2 in StarCraft 1's engine, it does just create a second projectile, but it's like at the same time as the other one. So here we have a factor of 2 and amount of 7. But there's only 1 attack, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. It also had that weirdly placed no-break code end, though, so maybe that has something to do with it? I don't think it would. Doesn't seem like it would. Maybe we just do this, though. And we then have to come into here and say factor of 1, and then we have to go into tooltip, and then say factor, image factor for tooltip, and we just have to add the Vicar Ospo Twin Shard. No. Yeah, you and, what's his name? Game Dominator, Dino Man. That guy really loves the Baneling, too. I just think that that unit is so poorly designed. And I cannot imagine how I would implement it in Cosmonarchy. Yeah, there's been some weirdness with them. That's for sure. Yeah, so what they're supposed to be doing here is... What is that? It's supposed to be 14 damage, and instead they did an extra... 14, I think, right? Because you wouldn't get it any other way. They're attacking twice, for sure. I don't know, but I don't know where the extra attacks come from, brothers. Help me out here. Why is that happening? It's fly and follow target. It could just be fly and don't follow. That's fine. Doesn't really matter that much. It's a laser anyway, so it's pretty quick. But, I don't think that... Yeah, that definitely doesn't contribute, so... All right. So that actually did work. What the fuck? Why does it do that now? I'm so confused. Oh! It was never a problem. It's the fucking mimics. No wonder. I was sitting here like, what's going on? The mimics are attacking it. Dude, this whole time I thought it was a bug. The mimic was doing this. God damn it. Well, if that's not a reason to go and update the mimic to create the projectile or whatever, that... God damn. I got mimic trolled indeed. Yeah, we'll go ahead and apply a visual so that there's actually something. Yeah. My test case was wrong. I wonder if that's where the scepter bug was happening too in my tests. I thought the scepter was just randomly getting free shit. Maybe Shambler also was reporting that and Mimics were in the screenshot. I'd have to go and check. Yeah, I think probably it was, to be honest with you guys. Yeah. It's a lot more obvious now. So there you go. Beautiful. Absolutely sublime stuff. But, you know, whatever. It's an improvement. In the, it's an improvement in the game, so it works out. We're going to do a get status check here. I actually don't know what all I've changed. I know I've done a lot of Viscosi dev, but I feel like there was another thing that I did. Oh, shit. Technically, I did add something, but it doesn't work fully yet, and I don't know how I can make it work properly. Let's find out here. I guess we'll test that. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about. Yeah, because I wanted the new Golden Republic Valk to attack ground and air with the Halo rockets, but I don't have a custom weapon entry for them yet. So, for now, they'll just be a little bit jank. I'm not going to mark them as implemented yet. Yeah, Mimic should be able to work. Valid. No, dog. No Terran agenda pushing here. Oh shit, it stole the kill and everything. Beautiful. All right. Good stuff. Pre-release is updated. I got to get ready for work. I'll see you guys next time. If you guys like this kind of dev content, I'm going to do another one for donors when I'm done with my shift. So that'll be in like 5 hours or so, maybe a little bit more. I will see you guys for that. If you're on the donor tier, you can sub to the Twitch channel for it. You can boost our server for it. You can donate $3 on the coffee page for it. 3 different ways to get access to it. And I'll see you guys for that. Peace.